Boom, baby, we're live. Welcome to Interview with the Man, episode number 647. We're going to be talking about masculine wisdom with my friend Mark here from Mark's Inspiration. But before we get going, don't forget this upcoming Monday, May 8th, the enrollment for the Masculine Empowerment Network is going down. Take a look and we'll show you what we got on the inside right after this.
I am not a man that believes in luck. I am not a man that believes in destiny. I believe in discipline. I believe in being powerful. I believe in being self-reliant. I believe in mentorship. And most importantly, I believe in me. I refuse to be a victim. And I know that every day I make a choice to be better than before, a choice to do what is right for me, a choice to not live as a slave to my emotions. And all of these choices will lead me to the burden that is heavy, and that burden is greatness. We live in the most prosperous times in human history. There is no excuse that outweighs the greatness that is in you that can get you the life that you want. Every day, we must make a choice to improve our lives or to be victims of inaction. The price of greatness is one we must pay every day, and it is a choice that I always make. Although the path we walk can be lonely, it is the most important thing we must do. Sometimes when you choose the life of greatness, you need a little help. The best part of my journey is that I'm not alone, and neither are you.
That's right. We're cooking, baby. We're cooking on May 8th. We're going live. Don't forget, if you're not on the waiting list for the Masculine Empowerment Network, this annual membership that we have here, you are going to miss out. So stop what you're doing right now. If you're a man and you want to improve and you want to have a year-long membership to a group of men that are going to help you get more money, more muscles, more game, and more frame, go to the masculineempowermentnetwork.com. Scroll down right here and just put your best email address right here. Click here to save your spot. You'll be locked and loaded. You'll be ready to go. As of right now, the official waiting count is at 147 men, plus the 400 plus previous members from previous years as well. The group is only going to continue to grow in size and strength. And don't forget, when you sign up, I'm going to show you all of the value you'll be receiving upon signing up. First things first is right here. You get my video course, which is called Body Language Mastery. This is going to teach you how to understand a woman's body language. This way, you can know if a woman is interested in you or if she's not interested in you. That way, if she is interested in you, you can move forward with, the courtship. And if she's not, you could save your time, you could save her time. And, we'll just understand if women are not interested in you, you can leave them alone and find the women that are interested in you. Number two, we're going to get 60 webinars with experts in money, muscles, game, and frame. We're about to pull that schedule up. But what a webinar is when you come into Zoom and we have a digital presentation that's given to you live. That's typically 1 to 2 hours. And then after the presentation, it is an open panel Q&A for all the members who are live in the Zoom chat. So you could ask your questions live to the presenter. So it is a tailor-made answer for your tailor-made problems. Okay. If you cannot attend those live, guess what? They're all recorded for your convenience and stored in a database. And that database has 200 hours plus of past webinars here, number 3. And you'll get that as well when you sign up. That's lifetime access to that. Number 4 is the secured Telegram chat. That's a group chat, what we have throughout the entire year, where we coordinate meetups. We talk about our problems. If you need help with your dating profile, your Instagram, fashion, food prep, all things masculine, investments, and more. You got a brothership. You got a brotherhood and a fellowship right in the convenience of your pocket. Just pull out your phone, ask us what's up, and we're going to help you out there. You get direct access to me, MLD. That's number 5. And then number 6, open course access sale. I will be opening all of my courses for sale to the members of the Masculine Empowerment Network so you could get in and really learn what you want to learn instead of waiting for me to release my courses, because I typically only release 4 courses per year. You get access to my entire database, but only if you're a member of the Masculine Empowerment Network. And let me just show you something real quick here. Here's the schedule right here. The schedule is jam-packed. It's color coordinated. You've got green for money, yellow for muscles, red for game, and purple for frame. And Mark Daniels is with us today. He's going to be talking on Thursday, the 18th, of leaving a legacy of masculinity. You're not going to want to miss out on that, okay? You're definitely not going to want to miss out on that. And we have it all here. I mean, we have Ryan from Elevate Cyber getting you a job in the cybersecurity industry, a booming industry that can take you to $200,000 a year within the first 4 years of your employment. We have Fido from Get Money Coding is going to be talking to you how to become a computer software programmer as well. Colin with the Credit with Colin talks to you how to leverage your credit to build wealth, acquiring properties, and so many more things. The entire package is here. And guess what? This is only 20 webinars that you see on the screen. You're going to get 40 more on top of this throughout 2023 and the beginning of 2024. So don't wait. Don't delay. Go to masculineempowermentnetwork.com. Get on the waiting list, and we're going to send out emails to the folks who are on the list. We'll be doing promotion and so much more. Mark, thanks for waiting. It's been a while. It's been a while, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, man. Good, man. So, Mark, let's talk. We're talking about masculine wisdom today. And, you and I became friends in 2021 is when we just started connecting and stuff. And I really just saw the value that you brought to these young men out here who, quite frankly, are in need of a lot of help and guidance. What do you think about when you see me doing the Masculine Empowerment Network, you see me doing these daily shows, and you see the state of young men today and the state of people in America? What's your just thoughts on the whole thing here?
Well, I see you providing a much needed, we'll call it a service, because men just seems to have forgotten how to be men, or they don't have any mentors, or we have a lot of, at least in the West, a lot of homes without fathers, and these young men have no guidance. They're being raised by their mother, and they just don't know how to be a man. They don't know how to be masculine. And actually, masculinity is somewhat in the West under attack. So if they grow up trying to be masculine, they almost feel like it's wrong. Like it's wrong to be a boy. It's wrong to grow up to be a young man. It's wrong to be masculine, to exhibit masculine traits. So I see your message as telling them it's okay to be a man, and that we need men. Men are vital for the survival of the nation and the world, for progress, and for the safety of women and children.
Yeah, it's quite it's quite the predicament. It seems to be America is leading the charge on this fucking broken household nation, broken people nation. Like I'm just under the impression that Americans in general are just awful at relationships, and just everything is just obviously I live in Tokyo, Japan. I'm out of the States, but looking at everything, it's just like I don't know. It just seems like a craziness right now.
Well, it was all with good intentions because men have made our country here in the U.S. safe and protective for women and children, of course. But we have created an illusion for women that they don't need a man. And that part of that illusion is true. Like any lie, the best lie you can tell is one that's got some truth in it. Well,
Right.
they don't need a man directly anymore because men have set up programs, institutions, and legislation to protect women, to provide for them. But
Mhm.
men have set all this up. And what a lot of women don't realize is men, if they decide to, could take it all away.
Right.
Now, but we set this up for our love for women and children. And as you know, throughout history, men have given their lives, gone off to wars, sunk in the Titanic to protect women and children. And with
Yeah.
all good intentions, they set up this system. But the problem is, women have gotten the idea that they don't need a man. And as I said, they don't need a man directly here in the West.
Mhm.
So they actually have lost respect for men. So, thus, you have this crumbling of relationships because without respect, you can't have, as you know, respect is more important than love. It precedes love. Without
Right.
respect for men, you can't have a relationship because the woman doesn't respect the man to start with like they used to.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree with you on that. And there are good women out there. That's another thing
Yes.
too. But the thing is, it does seem to me that um, you know, there's amount of bad women who are to just really out uh how can I say this? They're more outspoken than good women. Good women are typically hiding in the shadows. They're not like out and loud and screaming. Good women are
Yeah.
homebodies. Good women that do, have just want a relationship, want one man. And yeah, this whole I don't need a man movement. It started in like the I think it started in like the 80s, right? I think that's like when it really started being
Well, I
pushed.
was born in 1960, and that's when it started as far as the women's liberation movement. But
Mhm.
it became more in the 70s and the 80s where they started thinking they didn't need a man, or I don't need a man, and they didn't want to listen to a man. But it's odd. They don't want to listen to their husband or their boyfriend, but yet they'll go to work for the man and bend over backwards for him when he has no feelings for them whatsoever and he's just using them. As you know, if you don't have goals, you'll be working for someone who does have goals, and he has goals and they're working for him. And then they come home and they don't want to submit. Well, let's just forget that word because that rubs most women the wrong way. Western, they don't want to cooperate
Yeah.
because they don't feel like they have to. And as you know, the divorce rate here is about 70%. Okay, but I think it goes up to around 80 or more percent for college educated women.
Right.
Now, what they'll say to you is, well, yeah, we don't have to put up with men's crap anymore. Well, no woman wants to be alone really at night. How vulnerable is a woman home alone at night by herself than, in comparison to a man in the same situation? There's no comparison. So the reality is she may talk about not wanting a man until she actually needs a man and needs some of that what they call toxic masculinity, because it's what they call toxic masculinity that built this nation and actually every great nation in the world.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the data right now, and it looks like I said women who got divorced. Yeah, it looks like it's above 80% for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just sad because like the women, they are sold a lie, and it's sad because they typically the average woman wakes up to the lie typically when she's past her physical peak in her attractiveness. Typically, after the age of 30, 31, 32, 33, like, and that from that onwards, they realize like, oh damn, like I do need a man, because they're saying like, I don't need a man, and all this stuff. And how's that working out for them? It's not working out pretty well. I want to answer a quick question here. Ben Siegfried says, is this course only for young men? No, the course, the Masculine Empowerment Network, is for all men of all ages, 18 and up. And yeah, just make sure you get on the waiting list right there. The website's there.
Yeah, you're never too old to learn. I'm 63 and I'm still growing and learning, and from John and from other people also. And I share with people so that they'll learn. You got to pass it on. I was told that by a mentor long ago. He said, when you get big and strong like me, he said, you're going to pass this on just like I'm passing it on to you. And I still take knowledge and wisdom from people that are older than I am, because they've been around longer, so they have more wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah. And that what I think is just a lot of guys forsake that too. Because a lot of guys, I was talking this because Thor was on yesterday as well. And I was saying that a lot of these young guys, they want to talk to some guy who's like young and, jacked and good looking and whatever. Right. But those young guys, those guys who are like, because there's dating coaches out there, they're like 23, 24, 25 and, give advice. And I'm just like, look, I understand that these guys are giving you advice now, but the real wisdom is guys who are like, 35 and up. That's where you start to get some real serious wisdom. And I think that's a big problem, because in my opinion, in America, you have I believe now it's the majority of households in America are single mother households, which is pretty terrifying if you ask me.
Yeah.
And the thing is, women don't know how to raise a man. You know what I mean? They just don't. Just like a man really can't teach a woman what is femininity. You know what I mean? A guy can't tell a girl like, oh, like I'm gonna teach you how to deal with your period cramps and stuff like that. I'm gonna teach you how to, deal with the period and stuff like that. I mean, logically, could he tell her how to deal with her period and stuff? Yeah.
He doesn't know how she feels.
Yeah. There's not a, there's just not
that connection, that emotional connection, that sharing of feeling. Yeah,
Like
I have, as you know, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I've had my 6 kids taking care of them for 12 years, and their mother's been gone since that time. And my daughter, of course, she had to go through that when she was. I mean, I can logically talk to her, but it's hard for her because there's not a woman to hear. And I, I will not be one to sit here and tell anyone that as a man I can raise my kids better or as good as I could if I had a good woman here. I'm not going to say that, because I don't have the nurturing. It's not inherent in me to be nurturing and loving and patient and tolerant like a woman can be. So, but you do have a lot of these women out here say, I don't need a man, but yet they got a kid and they're getting child support or alimony or whatever, but yet they don't need a man. So it's really kind of contradictory when you
I'm reading all the data right now I have on the back end here. It looks like out of these single mother households, right, 34% of them were in the poverty line, compared to married households. Only 6% of married households are in the poverty line for raising children. And then out of all these single parent households in America, 80% of them are single mothers, and that trend is growing. And if you know anything about the statistics of single mothers, like they did a study, right? Just a father being present, not being active, but just being present, significantly reduces all aspects of depression, anxiety, early sexual promiscuity in girls. The markers are just through the roof for just having a father present. This whole notion of like, we just don't need a man and fathers are not important is absolutely toxic in every sense of the word. And, it's devastating to the culture, because America was built by families. Any great culture was built by strong families. And once you start to attack the bedrock of a society, which is the nuclear family, now you begin cultural decline. And if you could take a look what's happening right now, I mean, you're seeing these, you're seeing these young kids in these cities like San Francisco and Chicago robbing these Walmarts, robbing these CVS's, robbing these Walgreens, stealing all these things. And if you look at the crime statistics too, prisons are filled with people, men from single mother households. I mean, a father is so crucial and so important. And I'm trying to, because the only thing that it just seems so sinister because there is a media in America that is constantly belittling men from day one. You have men are stupid on television, men ain't shit
Right.
in movies, men are bad in education, men are bad in government propaganda, men are bad on all social media. It's even in video games, men are bad, men are evil. They just had a leak of the Dungeons and Dragons script where they were writing about this masculine male character or this main character, and the writer said it was their goal to emasculate the man on the
Really?
film. Yeah. Yeah, of course. It's coming out of California. What do you expect, right? There is there,
Thor calls it Clownifornia.
yeah, California, Cancerfornia, Clownifornia, whatever. But you have these pseudo progressive thinking people that think that this is the new wave and this is the way it's doing. And the reality is, men are needed. Countries like China, which is lapping the United States in GDP growth, education rates, and so much more. China has actually come out with government doctrine that says like we need more masculine men. Like they called them like sissy boys, like got weak, effeminate. Like a lot of these Korean K-pop guys look pretty gay.
Yeah.
They wear makeup and stuff like that. That's banned off of TV in China. They're saying that we need more male teachers. We need to pay teachers more. We need to pay male teachers more as well. There needs to be more masculine role models because there is a gigantic feminization of men. And then when you tack in also the the plight of men's testosterone levels dropping due to all the chemicals and everything around us in this world, you have quite the disaster set up for America. And it's not looking good. It's really not looking good. And that's why I think guys like you, guys like Thor, guys like Wraith, senior members in the Masculine Empowerment Network, senior not in regards to age, but also, you guys have lived longer. You guys are all in your 60s. I think that's the real wisdom that's needed because you guys saw a world before what we have right now.
Yeah, completely different. And I mentioned it on the show Saturday night on Dude Party about I grew up with men when I was a kid. It was a liquor store, and people would go behind the liquor store, and in the evening after work or after they did their farming, there'd be 15, 20 men back there talking, having a couple beers, and I would go back there with my grandpa or my dad, and then I grew up around that kind of stuff, and then when I was older, we'd hang around the street corner, myself and a bunch of my friends, young men, friends, 16, 18, 20, 25 years old, talking. So we had a lot of fellowship with men. And what I remember back then is if one of the guys started getting hooked up on a girl, we use the word pussy whip. We'd ride him if he, started getting too much involved with her. We'd call him out on that. Like, so we'd keep each other in line. Hey, don't get too. Basically, what that's saying is, don't get so wrapped up in a woman.
Yeah,
You're going to get yourself in trouble. But now, well, I give you a small example. I'm a member on some of these Facebook dating guys, and I read the comments and I try to help out occasionally some of the guys. And there was this dating coach on there, and he was telling the story about when he lost his virginity. And I swear to God, I would have thought it was a girl talking about it. The way it was so, I wanted to say something. I'm not going to say anything. Maybe he's grown since then, but he was explaining it. And this is common in our culture today. You got men saying you need to be vulnerable. You need to share this. You spoke earlier about the stress of a single mother. When the man's there, he takes that load off of her because he takes on that stress and he handles it so she doesn't have to. That's why she suffers when the man's not there, because a man does not get so much into his feminine that he takes that on and deals with it. So she doesn't have to. But you have men nowadays getting out here and crying on social media because they lost their girlfriend, or I'm so heartbroken, or it's amazing. I see guys, they have a baby now, and they're putting their baby on there, and they're talking about that's their life. And don't get me wrong, I love my kids. I got 10 of them, or I've had 10. Okay. But these are things that the feminine, coming from the feminine side of men, this is something a woman would do. Men don't, you just don't do that out in public. I'm not one to say you stuff your feelings, and stoicism is not stuffing your feelings. There's a time and a place for them. If you and I are out, John, walking down the street, and we come upon 8 thugs, and they're going to try to rob us, we don't have time to act scared or to be afraid or anything. We got to take action. Okay, later on we can sit down and talk about how afraid we was and share our feelings about it. But at that time, you got to control your feelings and take the appropriate action. But now we have so many men that are into their feminine that when something like that happens, they can't they're too emotional. You cannot be emotional in those situations, or you may die.
Yeah, John King says a good thing here. He says you have men pushing carts at the grocery store and the woman leading. You have men pushing the baby cart and carrying them. Now, what one thing is too, like I went on a date one time, and this chick was just such a fucking rude cunt. She, like, we were walking we went to go like this nice like cocktail bar where they make like these really high quality old fashioned drinks. I like to drink them. And we were paying and everything, and when we were leaving, she just like walked 6 feet ahead of me in the bar and was just like just completely left me behind. And I was just like, this bitch is so fucking inconsiderate. I was just thinking to myself, I was like, no wonder this bitch is single, like this is so rude and inconsiderate just to do that. And she was just completely out of touch with that. And I see that happening a lot of times, like the woman walking ahead of the guy and the guy tolerating it. So when we got out, I was like, we're going to walk to the train station. I was like, hey, like, look, don't walk ahead of me. I don't know, like, where you learned your manners. That's like really rude. Has anybody ever told you that? That's like not manners. And she was just like, she was shocked that I corrected her.
Well, let me tell you why they do that, because I've experienced the same thing with a younger woman, and most men allow them to do that, and they follow them around. When you tell them that, they're like, well, they don't even know, because nobody's ever corrected them, and they don't actually realize there's anything wrong with it. Today we were working up in a small town, Louisiana, and there was it was an Indian from India. He was walking probably 10 feet ahead of his wife. And I told my son, I said, look at that, Henry. I said, you see? I said, but if that was an American, I said, the woman would be walking and the man would be back there probably pushing the cart or whatever.
Hey, do you know what the divorce rate for Indian people is?
It's really low, isn't it?
Hindus in America and in India alone. You know what it is?
No, I don't.
1%.
Yeah, I read that the other day. I knew it was 1%.
Yeah. Because the thing is this too, Asia, right? They've been around a lot longer than us. They've been a lot longer than the West and whatnot too, right? And they understand traditional gender roles, and they understand that a man's a man and a woman's a woman, and each person has their individual roles, right? I was watching some content creator the other day who I'm not even going to mention this fucking retard's name, but he was saying that men can be equally as nurturing as a woman. And I just thought to myself, I don't know, his gayness is frying his brain or something. But like, I'm sorry, Mark, but if I had to choose between you nursing me back to health and some 24-year-old who would come over and stroke my head and be like, oh, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be better. If you try to touch me, like, Mark, get the fuck away from me. I'm just going to lay in this bed and die. But like, women have that magical healing, nurturing energy to them.
Right.
That's special to women only. And we cannot rob them of that by forcing them to act like a man. It's disgusting. And I personally don't want to deal with that at all. Like, and then if you talk about the most, gender normal or gender, the most gender equality in the world, I think it's in Sweden or somewhere in Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Where even there, majority of women in the career workforce have become nurses, and the majority of men have gone to engineering. Like engineering is like the most manly fucking job you can do. And nursing is like one of the most feminine jobs you can do out there, period. So I just think that we're kind of being tricked and led astray by this media in America and in the West that's trying to like warp these gender roles. And you're starting to see people are just not dealing with it. Like, you can't beat nature. Disney is
Right.
circling the drain financially right now. They're in so much fucking trouble. Now they're under trouble. Now they're under attack by the government as well. Ron DeSantis is taking away their tax privileges because they
Really.
keep on pushing this weird agenda. You know, for some reason I don't know. These white liberals are so weird. They're so like ridden with self-hatred and white guilt
Yeah.
that like they want to do the Black Little Mermaid, and they want to do like every white character they want to make black, right? So I'm waiting for the reversal. I'm waiting for White Panther, the movie about all the white people in Africa, called like I don't know, not Wakanda, but some other some other fake country with all the white people in Africa, and we're gonna have White Panther. It's truly insane to look at what's happening and how
Yeah,
I'm
I
just
don't.
trying to
I
understand what
don't.
force is pushing this. You know what I mean?
I don't understand it either, because it didn't used to be like that. I don't know where this. I mean, I really think it's some kind of subversion to destroy our country. Because if you take away the morals, and you talked about the family is the nucleus of the country. And if the family falls apart, the government falls apart. I mean, without the family, the country will implode. And that's, I think they're pushing that to destroy the moral values, because some of these things are just okay. Some of the things they talk about now, which I won't mention here because I know how YouTube is very sensitive.
Mhm.
Um, 20 years ago, if you'd have brought that up, well, I'd probably say this one about what's a woman, and you stated the way some of these people state now, you would have been locked up for psychic evaluation for 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
if
yeah.
you actually, if they knew you actually believed it and were arguing for the points. So I don't really know. The only thing I can see is subversion, maybe the Chinese or whoever's
Yeah.
trying to destroy us in that way, because they know we're too powerful to overcome with a war.
Yep.
If they can destroy us, that's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because it doesn't make any sense because the people speaking this stuff, that doesn't make any sense to me either. So there has to be someone pushing it, or it could be big business to they want to get us all like in the US now, all the cattle and the hogs. When I was a kid, they were out in the fields, and now they had them all in houses. They're feeding them
Grain.
the processed food. They're all on concrete. So they'd probably like to have us that way too, just consuming and eating. I mean, that sounds far out, but it's possible. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy guy, but yeah,
Yep. Well,
something is behind it.
there is. I mean, Yuri Bezmenov talked about this in the 1970s. He was on a television program, and he used to work for the KGB in the USSR, Soviet Union, and he called it ideological subversion. And I believe that's what's happening right now with the United States. We're in the demoralization phase right
Yeah,
now.
I think
And,
so.
but the thing is, with the media the way it is, that's why America is the way it is. Like, because listen, like we grew up with different tastes of music. Nowadays, if you listen to music, all music is what? It's do drugs. It's all
Yeah.
hip hop. All mainstream music is hip hop. So it's do drugs. It is all women are sluts and hoes. And then women are talking about I can fuck a bunch of men,
Yeah.
and I don't need a man, and men ain't shit. So you have this blasting 24/7, 365. There's no more like positive, uplifting rock or anything like that. Just name some modern like modern rock right now.
I don't know. My kids like the same rock I listen to. I mean, my kids are different because I've raised them differently, but a lot of their associates and people that come over, I see in them. But see, kids grow up thinking this is normal. And when you got people pushing that agenda that we talked about, the demoralization with the genders and these types of things, when you have people pushing that and kids growing up with that, when a person like you or I says, hey, this is not right, then they think you're the bad guy, because everybody out there in the media is saying, hey, this is accept this, include this is okay, this is normal, whatever. And I'm all for everybody living the way they want to live, but I don't believe I should have to change my language, which has existed for thousands of years, to pacify them because they feel differently. When I grew up, I was a hippie, okay? Had long hair, ended up riding Harleys and doing, okay, I got a lot of crap from the rednecks. Now, what if I was, hey, well, you know what? I'm going to go get some legislation because I think they need to treat me better. No, I accepted myself and I knew because I wanted to be different or I was different that I was going to take some crap and that's just the price you pay. So,
Yeah.
but now these people, well, I think too, we have no adversity and challenge. So people make mountains out of molehills and we're fighting for things and rights, so to speak, because we don't have anything else bigger. No bigger fish to fry, as we used to say.
Yeah.
So they need something to live for. To I mean, if we had a war, a lot of that stuff would just disappear overnight.
Yeah. Oh no, without a doubt. Eagle Cloud here just did some research, did a quick Google search on Hindu American divorce rates, and somewhere between 1 to 15% versus 44%. No, I don't think that 15. Check out the Pew research. Go to the Pew research. It's 1%, dude. It's 1%. How do you get a range of 1 to 15 and then a flat 44 for Americans? Do some more research.
Well, I'll backtrack on that one, but the divorce rate here is about 50%, but 70% is initiated by the woman and 80 if they're educated. So I wasn't sure if I quoted that right or not, but that was what I read.
Yeah. And all this stuff is absolutely important to be talking about, because it's not to get all doom and gloom, but it's really just to understand that this is what's happening around you. But another thing is this, though, for me, and then this is like, this is a little bit going to come off as a little dark, but for me, I just look at this as opportunity, because while everybody's out there being crazy, being fucking psychotic, and just running the streets and hoeing around, or what, just running through hose too, which is also low value. Like, you only do that for a while.
Yeah.
I tell you
Gets
what,
old.
man, that shit right there, that tears people up. And if you could just be a guy that could focus on the core four behind me: money, muscles, game, frame, find yourself a decent woman, have a life with her, success is going to be easy. Like, when you have all this crazy gender ideology stuff, which absolutely is coming from some phantom source. This shit did just not
Yeah.
organically happen. This shit's not happening in China. This shit's not happening in Japan. This shit's not happening in Russia. This is not happening in India. There's not a gigantic
Right.
transgender movement. And if it was 100% organic, it would be a 50-50 split or something similar to that. But in America, only 1.4 million people are transgender. And
Yeah.
of that 1.4, 1.2 million are men transgendering to women. And I'll tell you why I think the truth is. I think the truth, in my opinion, is that these guys are being taught that they are bad, men are bad, men are shit. You know what happens when a woman divorces a man and keeps him away from the kids? You know what she always says?
I've
Oh,
been through it.
yeah, your dad's a bad guy. Your dad's a monster. Your dad's a piece of shit. Your dad's awful. And then these boys grow up with their first reference of a male as their father being, lambasted by this
Right.
fucking crazy woman. And these kids are growing up hating themselves. And then
Shut up and take my money.
And then on the flip side of that, you have these people who are also championing women no matter what in America. So
Right.
these boys think like, well, if men are bad, women are good, I'll just become a fucking woman. Fuck it. So I don't know. That's
they're showing women as powerful. Women are being raised up actually to be masculine here. And I mean, back when I was a kid, we had home economics. I don't know if they still have it. And women were growing up thinking about getting married and having a family. Now it's like, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to go to college. I'm going to have my career. Like they talk about that, like they used to talk about having a family with kids and a husband. It's almost, it really here, it's almost, it is belittled if you're just a housewife. It's like, well, don't you work? Well, I'm a wife and a housewife, take care of my kids, but you don't work. That's a 24-hour day, 7-day a week job, no days off, no holidays, and it gets no recognition. When was the last time you seen any admiration or any kind of praise on any kind of media about a housewife and women staying home and taking care of their kids and raising the future of our country? What more valuable career could there be than that? That daycare generates $100 billion in revenue in the United States a year, and it's the money it's like 42 billion what the the payout is, the payroll, whatever. I'm not quite sure how. But anyway, the bottom line is it's a lot of money. So is that valuable or not? Well, then why shouldn't the mothers be taking care of their kids instead of going off to work for what? I don't know, $20, $30 an hour, even if they're making 50. How can they justify letting a minimum wage daycare worker take care of their kids?
Yeah.
And then they wonder why we got kids growing up in the mess that they are on medication and this and that. So
yeah, it's pretty insane when you look at it all. And then, it doesn't seem to be slowing down. There is beginning to be a little bit of a pushback, but I just think that the conservatives in America are so weak. I think they're giant pussies, personally. No offense, but like Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh is strong on the stance of the anti-transgender stuff like that, Tim. But Candace Owens, all these people, they're full of shit because they need to lobby to change the divorce laws. You change the divorce laws, everything in America changes. I want to read the super chat real quick. I'm going to pull up a divorce statistic, then I'm going to ask you about your divorce. KG, $50 super chat. He says, just finished a 9-hour shift at work. Now back to studying. Much love, MLD. Get at it, Kevin. Get at it. Keep it up. Keep it going, baby. If you guys want to make a donation, you can click the link in the chat. Click the link in the description box below. You could use the StreamYards link, and it'll be a direct donation right here, streamlabs.com. No YouTube 30% cut. Any donation you send me, YouTube takes 30%. But if you send without streamlabs.com, moderators, put that link in the chat for me. You can send a direct donation, and then I'll read it for you. Take a look at the statistics here. This is based upon religion. Out of all people divorce in America, this is the religious composition of it. And you can see here, Hindu people, less than 1%. Indian people, because if you ever look at an Indian family, right? I mean, there's a billion of those motherfuckers for a reason. If you ever see an Indian woman that's been married for 3 or 4 years who doesn't have kids? Very rare. Very rare. And when that Indian husband comes home, he wants his food ready, and the kids are taken care of. And if you take a look too, people are like, oh, the woman is oppressed. Indian people in America are the highest earning financial households in America. Do you know that?
No,
Indians
I didn't know
are
that.
number one. Indians are number one. Japanese number two. So you could sit there and cry and cry and cry, but the reality is these families that are being intact, not only are they providing great economic stimulus to the economy in America, but they are also keeping families together. And the kids are typically going to school. You ever see like a loser Indian guy? He's always a fucking engineer or a doctor or some kind of programmer or some kind of good job. You never see, when is the last time you see a broke homeless Indian guy in America? When was the last time you see an Indian dude on the side of the road begging in America?
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
And Indian people too, on top of that, bro, these people will go to the hood and they will fucking sell liquor to the fucking ghetto, and they will make money, and you rob them, but they'll come back the next day and be like, don't rob me again. So let's talk about divorce real quick. You had the unfortunate situation of dealing with that in your life. A lot of people are saying that, like, the current liberal progressive narrative now is that divorce is way harder on women than it is men, and that men are just the ones who are actually the victors after divorce, and the system is just completely biased towards women in every wrong way. Can you tell us about your situation?
Well, and I think a lot of young people need to realize this. I tell my 5 sons not to marry here in the U.S. I mean, maybe if they found, it's possible if they found a stable girl, but to be very wary of it because, well, like one of my marriages, I was married, and of course, when you have kids, of course, you have to pay child support, which I don't have any problem paying child support for the kids. The problem is you don't pay just for the kids. You pay according to your income. So let's say you make $50,000 a year. Okay, they adjust your the child support according to that. Well, you move your income up to $100,000 a year. She can take you back every year. You make $1 million a year, she can take you back and get from that. So it goes on what you're making, even though you're not married to her anymore, and even though you didn't make that amount when you guys were married. So you're going to pay for that. And those, you got to provide child support and insurance. Plus, if that kid decides to go to college, you're going to be paying until 23, 24 years old. So if you're a young man and you marry at, let's say, 22 and you get divorced after 2 or 3 years, it's almost like it could be like what you call a prison sentence. And also, as a man, you have no rights. If she doesn't want you to see those kids, or she wants to make it hard on you, you go to pick them up on the time you get to see them. She doesn't have to be there, and you don't have much recourse. You can take it back to the judge, but he's going to say, well, you got the order here, but if you take that order, the divorce decree, to the police, they're going to say it's a civil matter. But if you don't pay child support and you keep the kids when you're not supposed to, that's a criminal matter. They will come and get you and throw you in jail. So that's the way that plays out. So as a man, you have no rights. I don't care. I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You still have no rights, because a woman dang near has to be an axe murderer before you can get the kids. The only reason I got these 6 kids is because she decided, she was from a different country, and she decided to go back and she wanted to run a gun. And anyway, but so I ended up with the kids, and I was just very fortunate because I'd been married before and had a couple kids. I wasn't so fortunate there. And when it comes right down to the bottom line, if you think they won't accuse you, if they're losing, you're trying to get the kids, she'll start pulling the cards of either you're abusive, you've molested the kids, and I've been through all that. And when you prove yourself innocent, there's no repercussions to her. She's free to do it again. I've had it done to me 5 or 6 times in the 2 marriages that I'm thinking about. So there's no repercussions. So she's free to do it. She's free to do it again. So, I mean, I'm very fortunate. There are guys sitting in prison that didn't do anything, but she can get those kids to say about a young kid. I'll give you a small example. She told one of my kids, she convinced him that I had shot him with a BB gun because I had gotten him a BB gun and she didn't want him to have one. And we just shot it together. But he said, well, Mom made me remember. Kids are very susceptible to what their mothers say to them. So he believed that. Of course, I wasn't angry with him. Nothing came out of that, but that's just an example. So they can really persuade the kids. And if you think they won't do that, if it gets down to they're going to lose those kids, because that is the one thing a woman will fight for is her kids.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. So that it's really what's Rollo called an unconscionable contract. What are you going to get out of it? There used to be a time where you got married and you guys were not supposed to deny each other for sex and intimacy. And I mean, of course, unless you're sick or something like that. But now it's like you can come home here, and I've had ex partes against me too for no reason. All she has to do is go up there and say anything, and that judge will give her an ex parte. You come home, you're out of the house, and you can't prove that you didn't do anything, and then that's on your record, and that's an order of protection. But a judge would rather give her an order of protection, or he would rather put 100 of those against a man than not do it one time, and then that man do something to the woman and that get on the news. He gets crucified. So I understand why they do it, but it puts the man out of the house, and she could have another man in there, and you could be paying for the house, and this happens. So most young men have no idea what they're getting into.
Yeah,
when they marry.
because there is just this liberal progressive narrative right now that that divorce is, and we're gonna have to talk about this offline too, because I got to prepare more data on this, just because I know instinctively that I'm right, and I know what I have seen members of my community go through with divorce, and it's absolutely the number one reason why guys don't want to get involved with these girls. Like, let's take me for example, right? And a real quick shout out to 7 Beers In, who donated $50 to me. Thank you so much. I'm gonna hit you with the wow, bro. He said YouTube is not getting this 30%. He used a direct donation link. Thank you guys so much. If you guys want to use a direct donation link and get a conversation piece in here from me or Mr. Mark Daniels, click on that link right there. Send up the donation. It's pretty easy. You can use your PayPal account too, credit card, you name it. Knock yourself out. I'll shout you out. Really appreciate that. Going back to that, just the thing is, like, I'll use myself for an example, right? So obviously, I've started my business 2019, and I'm trending upwards, right? Up.
Right.
And I'm making more money every year. And so if I were to get married right now in America, and the momentum and everything that I have right now is what I've been literally building up my entire life. My whole life's knowledge is why I'm successful right now. And so with with that, if I were to get married with a woman right now, from the moment we get married, every dollar that I earn after that will be considered part of the marriage. And so, like, let's say I make $2 million next year, then 3 million, then 4 million, then 5 million, right? She's entitled to 50% of that. And all she did was show up and be hot. And she didn't help me build anything. She didn't maintain anything. And that's unfair. That's not okay. And women understand this system. A lot of you guys out there think that women are not predatory. Listen, especially these white women. No offense to my white women out there, but some of these fucking evil white bitches, they know this system in and out.
Yeah, I've been with a couple of them. So. Hey, and also something else is you'll be paying for her lawyer to crucify yourself.
Yes, exactly. Because I have a call with a lawyer later today because I'm preparing all this data on divorce, and yeah, you have to pay the lawyer, which is crazy. You have to pay the lawyer for her to take your stuff from you, and that's fucking insane. How much did you spend in lawyer fees yourself, Mark?
I probably spent close to $200,000 on that one divorce.
One divorce cost you $200,000.
I mean, if you want to count the houses I lost, yeah.
What about with just the lawyer fees?
Probably 100, 120. Yeah.
How long was that?
I had some good lawyers because she come after, like I said, a couple times I got accused of. Well, I'll tell you quick. I adopted a son, which was a mistake, but I did it, okay? Because at the time I didn't know if I could have any kids. Well, I'd had to. I didn't know about it, and I had 6 later. So don't listen to doctors, okay? But she had an aunt that worked at a big hospital here in St. Louis. She took him down there, and that woman said he had anal scarring. So then they were after me, okay? Well, fortunately for me in this case, the DFS did an independent investigation. That was the only time they ever helped me out, and it was all bull crap. But see, that was her aunt.
Your ex-wife said you were raping your son, and
yeah, because she was out partying and doing drugs, and I was trying to get the kids. So, like I said, yeah. So anyway, I got clear to that, but that wasn't the only time she, and as I said, there's no repercussions. They can do that over and over and over again. And then the system's position on this is better to err on the side of caution. Well, that's fine, except they drain your bank account, because you're trying to defend yourself from these things that didn't even happen, but yet they can continue to do it over and over again. So, and then eventually it turned into a big, she accused me, I got accused of something else, and that turned into a big fight with the system up here. And we didn't have social media then, but I got it on the local news. And my attorney told me you punched a tiger in the eye because I embarrassed the system, and then they came after me. So that's why I got my passports for the kids and everything. 'Cause 6 months later, here they come with some trumped up charges, and I fled the country. 6 years passed, things calmed down. I was able to come back, and we made an under table deal that if I didn't start any crap, they'd leave me alone. I just was going to take care of my father because he was sick. So I did that, and we're all good friends now. So that's.
How did you make the system look bad? I kind of missed that.
Okay. Part. They had taken my daughter. I got accused of choking my daughter. That was another thing that happened. Okay. And anyway, I got it on the local news here because that was the only media we had back then. They had her in a foster home, and something wasn't right there because I had the foster home under surveillance. All right. And I told them that. And so anyway, and I got that on the news that there was something awry at the foster home. Well, everybody was willing to let my daughter go except for the guardian ad litem. And she didn't want to. But anyway, they gave me my daughter. But yet she wanted to see my daughter every month or two. Okay. And I took her back there, and I knew she was after me. So I wired my daughter to get the conversation there. She went in there the first time, and that guardian ad litem asked her over 100 questions in like 10 or 15, had her under the table crying. And she said, my daddy didn't choke me. My daughter was 6. You guys tricked me. Okay. And anyway, after that, my daughter wouldn't go in there, but I had to take her there. when of course we couldn't present that to the judge. When we finally did get there to present it to the judge, and I'm cutting through a lot of stuff, the judge would not let us present the evidence because they were all in it together. My attorney said, and they were like 40, 50-year-old they were older men, Jewish lawyers, the best in St. Louis, recommended to me by Chuck Drury, who owns Drury Inns. And they said, I've never seen it like this. But they were all in it together, and they said, they're going to be after you because of what I did. So, and get this, the caveat or whatever, a year ago, this happened back in 2022. They wouldn't let, a year ago, the guy where she was at in the foster home, they found out he had been molesting kids there since 2 years before my daughter was put in there. And they contacted my daughter. My daughter told me, said, no, he never did anything to me. And maybe because he knew I was watching, and see, there's the value of a father. That's probably the only reason she didn't get molested, because I was on the DFS, the social services, the juvenile system, and I pissed them off. I mean, that's why they came after me. But I mean, that's what the book, there's a lot of that in the book I wrote. But the point is, I protected my daughter the best I could. And it probably did save her from being molested by this guy. He's in jail now. But yeah, so, I mean, that's a short version, but that was kind of what went on. But that's what fathers are supposed to do. You protect your kids, even if it means risking your freedom or your life or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, it's just insane, mate. That's absolutely fucking insane. And so let me ask you this: why do you? Because obviously it just seems to me to be about money, but why do you think this shit is happening? Like, why is the system still going? Is it about money? That's all it is?
Well, here's the deal. Like in this situation, let's say in the foster care situation in Division of Family Services, they have to take so many kids every year. If they don't, they lose their funding. All these organizations need to have a quota met, because that's the way the government funds. Let's say they don't take as many kids, well, then they don't get as much money the next time. So there's a push for them to do that. The same as with welfare. That a lot of times they approve people for welfare or food stamps, whatever you want to call them, EBTs, because if they don't keep up the quota, people that really shouldn't get them, if they don't keep up the quota, then they lose funding. They lose funding, then people lose their jobs. So that's one reason. Everything usually comes back down to money if you look far enough down the down the rabbit hole. So that has a lot to do with it. And then the lawyers make money off these things, and everybody makes money. The system makes money. That's why, like here the DWIs, they're really having to push a nose, which I understand that, but that's a money thing too. If you ever known someone who's involved in that, it's a lot of money. They have to go through this court classes and different. It's all about money. All the money they have to pay. So yeah, that's behind a lot of it, because it's really not about trying to keep the family together and the welfare of the children. Although I believe it's in the disguise of that. It may have started out to be that way. Like the welfare system too, it's a good idea for when someone needs it, but it's become a system where you have third generational welfare, and people grow up on it just assuming they're entitled to money from the government. And that too destroys the nation. And we have people coming from other countries coming here, which if they want to work, I think that's great, but they come up and have a few kids and they get on the system.
Yeah, no, and that's one thing that I've consistently noticed too is, I mean, this happens often in the military. They'll strategically marry and pop out a baby just to get more money, and then if things go sour, I don't just how is the government so fucking cucked? Like and honestly, and when you hear all this stuff, right? I did the ultimate thing. I threw my hands up, said "fuck America, I'm out," right? And
I understand that,
yeah, but it's just so crazy when you get pulled into that legal system. It's just the worst feeling in the world. And the worst of the worst people are just always using the legal system, like the white trash, the fucking shitty, low IQ people. I don't know. I mean, no, take that back, because these rich just do it too. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If these divorce laws change in America, that's what this whole conservative movement, everybody needs to fucking halt, pump the fucking brakes, and change the divorce law and the divorce system in America, or say goodbye to the country. That's
true.
That's
Yeah.
a bottom line, because it's unfair, it's unethical, and guys are they're disenfranchised. They're like, fuck this. Why would I get married to? At any point, I could get pulled out from under me 50% of all things I earn,
Yeah.
be enslaved in child support payments, be enslaved. Like, even if you have a decent woman and she's amicable, the risk is not worth it. How is 50% of your fucking assets worth it? Okay. And guys just say, like, oh, just you guys got to do better and you got to do, you can't control another person.
No,
There's
you
no
can't. If they don't
games.
want to work it out, you're done. And then she's got all her friends and other people who are miserable or not happy or they're divorced telling her, you can do better now. You don't have to put up with that. And there, it's just too easy to get out. I grew up in a time where people believe more in commitment instead of how they feel. The real love starts after the honeymoon's over. I mean, I made a statement the other day about on some thread about love. To me, love is a verb. It's an action. Now, I've taken care of my kids for the last 12 years. Do I feel like getting up and fighting with them to get to school all the time? Do I feel like taking them here? No, I don't feel like it, but I do it because I love them. And in America, it seems like we've got so much into our feelings that a woman is with a man and I just don't feel like I love him anymore. Well, honey, you need to go out and do what makes you happy. No, there was a time when you realized that that's just a feeling and it's going to come and go. And even if you get with another man, that's going to pat you. The infatuation, the honeymoon stage, when that's over, the real love starts because you make a choice to love.
Right.
Love's a choice. It's
Right.
not, oh, I'm so in love. I can't just get enough of this guy or this woman, whatever the case may be. That passes. I don't care how beautiful she is or how handsome he is. These things pass in the normal everyday life routines that we have to do. Sometimes I've been with women, well, one of my ex-wives or two of them, they wanted to have the life I had. But what happens is when you get married, 6 months, a year passes, and they realize I do the same thing every day, day in, day out. Now, that's not to say I don't go out, but it's a routine, it's a success habit, and that becomes boring. So they don't want to do that. They don't realize they want to just enjoy the benefits of your life, but they don't want to do what they have to do. And a lot of people are like that. They see your success, John. They want to be successful, but they don't see every day the same thing over and over and over. The mistakes, the haters, the nights you go to bed nervous about, can I do that tomorrow? Man, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I've done this 50 times, but yet for some reason I have anxiety. These are the things that make a man, that build character and integrity.
Yeah.
And people don't see that. They see you on here now. They see you successful. They see you doing the Masculine Empowerment Network and these different, when you made the tour over here, you're on Fresh and Foot in different places. Man, I'd like to do that. Yeah. Do they really want to pay the price? Or I'll say this, enjoy the journey, because if you're not enjoying the journey, you're not going to enjoy it when you get there because you're there right now. You're always going to be there. And now's the time to enjoy the there.
Yeah. And because, I don't, do you do this when you wake up? Maybe I'm just fucking crazy. But as soon as I wake up, like, I immediately think like, like I'm alive again. But like one day I'm not going to wake up. And I start thinking about life and death and everything. It's like every day that I wake up, I think about that. Am I crazy? Am I the
Well,
only
I think a lot about death. Marcus Aurelius used to have a slave follow him around and whisper in his ear, "You're going to die one day." It's good to know you're going to die one day, not in a morbid sense of way, but we're all mortal and we're going to die. So if you have another day, let's enjoy this day.
Yeah.
As you know, I have my own business and I have other ventures, and my boys work for me. We have fun at work. We joke around. I mean, have a good time. I'm not thinking, man, I'm glad it's hump day. I can't wait till the weekend gets here. Now, that's not to say sometimes I'm not glad when the end of the day is there because I might be a little tired or I'm struggling a little bit. But we have fun. We enjoy the day. We drive home. We talk. And I tell them, yeah, one of these days I'll be gone. You guys are going to be remembering this, and things will happen. So I tell the guys out there, find something that you enjoy doing. And if you're doing something you don't enjoy, find a way to enjoy that. And I want to tell you this, and I live by this rule: you're never going to get paid more than you're getting paid now until you do more than you're getting paid for now. That's a Jim Rohn quote, and it's true.
Can you say that
Everybody
again
wants a crop.
Say that one more time. The audio cut off the
Okay.
donation.
You're never going to get paid more than you're getting paid now until you do more than you're getting paid for now. It's kind of confusing, but once you get that down, so always do more. Now, I always do more on a job because, and don't expect it back from that person. Don't expect it back from your boss, but you'll get it back from the big boss, divinity, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. You cannot, okay, you would agree that you can't get something for nothing. Everybody agrees with that. Okay. And the contrast of that, you can't give something without getting something back, and it comes back multiplied. The mistake people make is they expect it back from the person they gave it to. And they get it back sometime down the road and they forget that what they did. Or they get angry because it's not coming soon enough, or they think it all comes back to you one way or the other. So plant that seed and wait for the crop to grow. And that piece of corn, it doesn't grow up with one seed. It grows up with a lot of ears and a lot more corn. And the amount of corn that will make eventually is numberless. And that's the same way with life. So if you put more out there, everybody wants more money. But what are you doing to deserve more money? What are you putting out there? Are you like, okay, you go to work, you get there right at 8 o'clock, you go to the bathroom, and then on break, you go eat your chips and soda? 4 o'clock's there, you're waiting to punch in. That's all you're going to get. You're just putting out you're putting out what you get paid for. You want to get paid more, do more.
Do more. Yeah. And that's what we tell the guys, in the Masculine Empowerment Network and on the channel too. Like, that's what I tell these guys. Really quick, 7 beers in, send another $20 super chat donation, direct donation. Thanks so much. Bypassing YouTube's 30% cut. I am not sure 100%, but I heard major bridal companies are filing bankruptcy. If men stop marrying and stop paying, what are the consequences if the courts and lawyers stop getting paid? Well, again, it's all about money. That's all it boils down to. And people are shit. Humans are shit, guys. Like, the average human is a piece of shit. I'm sorry to say that. At surface level, they may seem nice, but look at the way things are, and this is all because of humans. So, I mean, it's just tough it's tough for women out there too. I just want to make that very clear. It because I have a lot of decent women that contact me, and just it is just, I can't find a good guy, because the girls that don't want to be sluts, right? They date with intention, and these guys, when they don't sleep, when the girls don't want to sleep with them so quickly after getting to know them, stuff these guys want to go have one drink with them and sleep with them. And these girls are just this is not okay. And then these guys will write them off because the sluts have flooded the market with cheap pussy.
If you're a masculine man, there is no competition. I have a 16-year-old daughter who dates. You know how many guys? I don't think she can count how many guys. I mean, they date. Sometimes dating for her is just talking to somebody in school, but how many guys cry in front of her? And how many guys start out good, and then after about a month or so, they're crying in front of her. They can't live without her. It's tough for her to find a masculine young man.
Yeah. And that's the real, I mean, like I said, it looks like a crisis, but it really is an opportunity, because, I mean, for me speaking, I know if a woman comes into my life, the quality of her life is going to go up. Every woman I've dated has left the relationship smarter, more educated, more money. Every girl, I've got the Midas touch, man. Every single girl I've dated, her life has gotten better. And then when I left, well, left to their own devices, what the average woman does.
Same here.
So don't take this message as a message of despair, guys. Okay. You got to be a man. You got to know the rules of the game, and then you got to engage accordingly with those rules. Okay. And that's why it's good for you guys out there who are lost, confused, you're not happy with the way your life is, right? This is why we're telling you guys, sign up for the Masculine Empowerment Network. Join us. It's a year-long journey. Get in here, and it doesn't end after you finish watching the video course. It doesn't end after you finish doing, the webinars. It doesn't end when the Telegram chat stops losing momentum because people are not, high off of the initial 2 weeks of feeling pumped up and rah, right? It ends when you die. This is a lifelong journey. And every year, like Mark says, I'm going to be the same. When I'm 63, like Mark, I'm going to be learning and growing. And Mark is still learning and growing. And, a lot of you guys are calling him old timer, but man, I don't know, Mark, you've got a youthful energy about you. I don't see anything old about you at all, man. When you went, guys, let me just tell you about the classy guy Mark is. Mark flew down to Florida when I was on vacation for us to go have lunch at Perkins and just to get a feel for each other, and then flew back up to Missouri, where you live in Missouri. Yeah.
Yeah, St. Louis, a little north of St. Louis. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a class guy. He's an old school American. This is the kind of guys that built America, the great America that you live in now. Literally built it because he owns a construction business and a lot of those different things. So, we offer you the opportunity to join us in the Masculine Empowerment Network and join us on this year-long journey to get your life in the right direction. Okay. Well, I could talk about always money, muscles, game frame. And here's the deal. If you want to get out there, you want to date a little bit and you want to get a little experience, that's fine. I recommend it. Go out there and experience these chicks. But eventually you're going to have to hang your hat up and you're going to find somebody and settle down with. You don't have to marry them, but I'm just telling you personally, as a guy who's done it all, this life of endlessly chasing women, it's a dead end. It's a very shallow end. And, you're just going to be better off focusing on yourself, money, muscles, game frame, taking care of your health, taking care of your body, taking care of your money, starting a family if you need to. Just know the rules of the game. And then keep in mind that there are good women out there, but you have to understand game so you can know which woman is good, which woman is bad, and move forward accordingly with them. So,
and you got to be the man. You got to be the man. I mean, we talked a lot about the problem here, and I like to enlighten, inspire, and build up humanity. But I got to enlighten you to what's going on. But there is no competition. If you get yourself in a position and build yourself up to where you are a masculine man, there is no competition. And there are the good women out there are looking for a real masculine man. And that's what we are going to teach you here is how to become that person. I mean, you need to have mentors, you need to have a roadmap. And if you don't have that, you're just out there blowing around like a ship in the ocean without a rudder. You've got to have some kind of guidance. If you're going to climb Mount Everest, and usually in the West here, if you want to be a man, that's kind of about like climbing Mount Everest. You're going to run into some obstacles. You need a guide. And what we got here is a lot of different guides that can help you. Now, it's up to you. We can only give you the information. And then whether you do anything with it, we can't do your push-ups for you. But we can give you the information. We can give you the guide, the map, and then you can take it and do something with yourself. And as a man, that's where you find your fulfillment as you grow. It's not so much about what you're going to get, what woman you're going to get, how much money. It's what you become in the process. Men find fulfillment in the process. It's not in the destination. It's good to have goals. We need to have goals. Less than 1% of the population has written goals. You can be in the top 1% just by writing down your goals, because they don't write them down, because when you write that down, it becomes real. It becomes tangible. Mm-hmm. And that's all you have to do. You write that down, read it every day, and opportunities will arise for you to move in that direction. You don't have to know the whole journey. You have a mechanism inside of you, like a heat-seeking missile, that will get you to that goal, and nothing will stop you except yourself. It's up to you, but you got to build up that inner man, the willpower to keep your mind on what you want and off of what you don't want. And that's what we're here to help you with.
Yep, definitely. And we're going to help you guys out with that and so much more. So if you're not on the waiting list, again, like I said, time is running out and this opportunity will pass you by if you don't take action. Go to masculineempowermentnetwork.com, scroll down, put your best email address right here, click here to save your spot. You'll be locked and loaded. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I will be having free consultation Friday here, where you get to call in and ask me all your questions and more absolutely for free. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Go unsubscribe from a bunch of these other channels that you're subscribed to. If you're not getting notifications, that's most likely what's happening. Shout out to Leprechaun. Jesus Christ. Leprechaun 499 super chat. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out.